Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're having a real talk session with my brother Tristan.
So,
We're just talking about our university experience. So basically the good, the bad, the ugly, the tips and tricks for anyone who is leaving their home country to study elsewhere. So we'll start with first impressions. What was your first impression?
coming here or going to school?
Both. Okay, let's say coming here.
Okay, so coming here, everything is different, like the first thing that hits you is the weather, Even though it was summertime when we first got here, the weather, it's like, it's bipolar. You don't know if it's gonna rain, you don't know if it's gonna be sunny the whole day, So having to adjust to that was rough. So what was your impression of when you first came?
Look, when I was coming, I had like a different impression as to what I came to meet. I just felt like when I come, I'll be cruising, snapping, going places, sightseeing. And I came 2 months before school started. So I actually had that gap, but I don't remember. I didn't really do much, to be honest. I was mostly like preparing myself for school. But what hit me different was the fact that you go places and people don't greet you, and people don't acknowledge your presence.
Because I'm so like people that, like, guess say you're going to like a retail store or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, not even the retail, because they do like customer service. But in terms of like, just I don't know how to explain it. Like, even just walking on the streets, like Ghanaians, like we usually greet ourselves. Like, I don't know, like if you're walking or maybe if you enter.
Like, I think I understand what you're trying to say, but it's circumstantial.
It's not as receptive as I expected it to be. I thought, let me just put it this way, I thought making friends or socializing would be easier than it actually was. That's what I was saying. That hits different. Like, I did not know when to smile, when not to smile, when to say hi, when my social cues were off. I'll say.
So they're like different.
Yes. That like.
So how did you adjust to making friendship based on that?
Which friends? It took me a while. Well, I'll say I came with a friend from high school, so coming into university. But before university, I had no friends. It was just me and my family. But going into university, I had a friend from high school, so I had her. But like, I think that comfort made me not want to make other friends because it was so much work that I didn't. I mean, you didn't have that, so how did that work out for you?
I mean, I think it was Frosh, right? Like, when you start university, the first week, there's something called Frosh. So it's like you do activities with the people in your what's it?
College, like faculty.
In your college, your faculty, so that you get to know people. You get to like network already at the beginning of school. So during that, there were parties afterwards. So that's when teenagers or like young adults find time to like socialize. With talking to guys and talking to girls. So that was basically what made me start
But see, I went through that too. That's what I understand. I did Frosh. You see, like, Frosh wasn't that fun for me. Like, Frosh was I won't call it a pain, but the activities I find were nice. I did make friends, but none of them were sustained throughout my experience at York. But the parties was what I did not understand. Like, I tried 2 parties, and basically it was just people jumping up and down. Like, I couldn't build any conversation. Like, I left. I left because it was just not my scene. It was noise, jumping up and down, and no valuable conversation. So I don't know how you were making friends then. I need to learn.
I mean, no, we're not making friends at the party, because then at that point we're just singing, But like before the party, even it's called like pre.
Pre. Yeah.
Okay. Pre. So like during that time, that's when the most conversations are being made, or when you're talking to people. Because during the party, there's not really much talking because the music is loud and people are trying to dance. So.
I did not even know pre. So yeah, I guess that's a learning thing. Good thing. So if you guys want to party, you have to pre. But okay, one thing I remember at Frosh was, I won't even lie, like my first few days at Frosh, my accent was on fleek. Like people were not understanding. That's another thing. When I came, people couldn't articulate my speech. And I didn't understand. Like, I felt like we're all speaking the same English. So I find myself during Frosh, I was trying to have an accent. So like, how you... it froze right there, but you know?
I know what you're talking about.
And I remember there was this girl from Trinidad and Tobago, and she was also trying to form accents. But when she's talking to people from her country, obviously, like, she keeps her actual accent. So one person, I think it was a Canadian person, was like, why, like, wow, you sound so nice, your accent is so beautiful. And then she was surprised because this is her trying to, I would say, blend in and trying to make her accent more acceptable. So when that person passed that comment, it kind of caught her off guard, and she kept her accent throughout. Like, even to this day, she still talks like how she talks. And I think witnessing that conversation sunk in my head, because I'm like, why should I try to conform, like, or to sound like that? They have to take what I give them. And with time, I mean, I'm not saying I do not want an accent, but with time, I feel like my accent will transform, but I don't need to sound like you at this point. But you say.
No, but you see, the difference is, like how you said when she's talking to the people back from home, like, it switches. So, like, when you're talking to someone that is from here, like, it's hard to stay with the accent that you're with. So obviously when I'm talking to, like, people from here, like, when you're speaking pidgin, like, you're not really slurring your words. It's rough. But if you're talking to people from Canada, like, you know,
you got it.
you have to. You have to put something in there, right? I mean, it's not something like I try to do, but it just happens. Like, I don't even, like, even right now, like, I don't
right
even
now, I'm
realize.
wondering who you're talking to. You're talking to me. So
No,
what's happening?
I speak to them a lot, you know, like,
That's true.
when I'm not home, I'm speaking to, like, if I'm not with my friend, like, NK from, like, Ghana, like,
that's true.
I'm with them 24/7, so
I agree.
it's hard.
Well, if you say it that way, that makes sense, because that's what I was saying. Like, it was hard for me to make friends, so I wasn't really surrounded with people with accents. So yeah, it makes sense. I'll let it slide.
Yeah.
But now
remember I tell you how for the past 2 years, the way she's been on me about this accent thing.
No, because I don't get it. Like, how can you spend 16 years speaking in a Ghanaian accent and then come and lose it in, like, 3 years?
It wasn't gone. It was just, you know, circumstance. You know?
Okay, so now let's talk about your first year experience. At a glance, how would you describe your first year experience in university?
Look, first year, there were so many things going on. If you're trying to summarize it, we might have to make a longer video, but basically, first year was, how do I put it? First year was, like, getting to know everyone, getting to, like, adjust to everything. So it was more like trial and error, like, with school and everything. So coming from A level, the mindset was coming from A level. We already, like, were informed that most of the stuff we're doing in first year is going to be the same thing that we did, like, A level. So already I was thinking that, okay, maybe first year was going to be a breeze, like, you know, just relax, because right after A level it was stressful. So, you know, I want something that would be light, something you know.
Yeah.
So when I came in, I actually found out that it was so, like, I was taking it a little bit easy. I'm not going to lie. There was sometimes I'd be like, okay, I'm too tired, I don't want to go to class. I was not being serious, right? So yeah, that was what I was lacking. Like, first year I was not that disciplined. So because of complacency, you know. So that was because I was mostly spending my time partying, so I'll be too tired to go, you know, to class. That was my error. But that was basically first year.
Your first year? Mine was completely different. I can relate to the complacency level, because you're right, especially if you come to university and you're studying you're continuing what you did in A level.
Right.
Like, I continued with math, and most of my courses were math, and I found that most of what I was studying I had already done. So as she said, like, first of all, the prof's accent turns you off because you can't barely understand what they say. And two, it's like you already know what they're talking about anyway, so why waste your time and go listen? But the problem with that is when you're not in class, are you actually making up for what you're missing? Because if you're not going but you're studying, then it's like, okay, but you're not going, you're not studying, and then you wait and pile everything. I find that was my struggle in first year. It wasn't even about the content difficulty, it was more of waiting and then just having like being overwhelmed with so many things at the very last minute that alone becomes a problem, and then you can't study and you're just like, okay, you know what, I will deal with this another time.
Right.
And the system here is so different because everything is cumulative. So if you're failing your first 2 midterms, the likelihood of you making it up in the final is very, very slim. So it's hard. But in terms of like partying, like that was not me. Like I was just trying to find my bearing in life. But I was mostly in my room. I would say I was mostly secluded, and the days just went by so fast. Like I don't think I did anything memorable in my first year, and the winter hit me. Like it takes you a while. Yeah, it takes you a while. No, I like the cold, but the fact that the sun sets so early and like when you feel like you should be productive, the sun sets at like 4 p.m. and you're ready to go to bed, and it's like you want to do nothing but stay in bed, and that did not sit well with me. Like I was hit hard by that. So my first year, I remember going into second year, I'm like, I'm not going to make these same mistakes. I'm going to go to class. I'm going to study. I'm going to try and do better. And then it was a cycle.
Yeah, because what you said was right. Winter time. When is winter?
Yeah.
Like I was in Stone College first year, and then my college was not that far from my classes, so I didn't have any excuse not to be missing. But because it was winter time, like snowing, like it was not like it was not worth the trouble. Like in my eyes, even though it should be like. It was too cold.
It was
too cold. It wasn't worth it. Man.
So what would you tell? What tip can we give from that, or like?
Oh, just make sure like you sleep early before class, especially in the winter time, because the way the sun sets, you get like.
And it rises late.
And it rises late. Yeah.
So it's easy for you to sleep in and miss your classes. But one thing I'm going to say is, if you know you're not a morning person, don't lie to yourself and say I'm going to wake up and go to class. Yes, some of the classes you don't have options with the time, so with that you'd have to like sacrifice. But if you have an option of taking like an earlier class and like let's say a class at noon, pick the noon class if you know you're not going to wake up. Yes, you might be in school longer, you might not finish earlier, but trust me, the chances of you making it to your class is higher.
That's true.
Don't play yourself. Like once you're out of the system of people forcing you to go to school, in terms of like parents, in terms of like being punished if you don't show up, no one is going to care if you show up to class in university. So it's up to you to make sure that you go and try to create a timetable in a way that is realistic. Don't force to get a day off just because you don't like want to go to school that day. Rather choose late classes, even if you have to go to school more, but the chances of you showing up is higher. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, going to class is key. It's key, man.
How did you satisfy your cravings in terms of food? Not having Ghanaian spots on campus.
And that's a good question because I'm very picky. Like I used to be very picky with food, and you know, like it's hard to try new things when you don't know if it's going to be good or not. And you come to school with a budget. Like let's say you get a student card and you fill it with a plan. What's it called?
I don't remember.
Meal plan, right? And then there's a set number like amount you have in your card. So it's not that come to do like try and error with your food. Like you have to know like to spend it wisely. You're supposed to last you the whole year. So I'm very picky. So I usually be having like if I hear something like fried rice, so I'm used to that. So I'll go for that one, right? So that's what I was basically doing. I was not really trying new stuff first. Yeah,
that was my greatest struggle. Food, like figuring out what to eat, especially if you're having a meal plan option.
Yeah.
Because if you decide to eat breakfast, lunch, and supper, that's like $50, $60. And if you have like $1,200 over the semester and you're doing that daily, it's not going to take you the whole semester. And then now you have to budget whether you want to eat breakfast and not eat lunch. Like you have to now be trading off things.
Yeah.
But the options are not that many because the only thing that you would go to is junk food. And how many times would you have a burger in a week? because you're not used to the different kinds of meals. I don't remember how I did it, but I know I used to do like grocery shopping on the side, so I have like oats, and I brought Gary. Bring Gary and shit.
I wish I had that.
Save you. To save you. I had that, and then I got like a small rice cooker. So I used to buy like small like rice, and then I'll probably get like a sauce from somewhere, but like it keeps me going.
Mm.
And the closest thing you can get to Ghanaian food, if there's no Ghanaian food like around you, is Caribbean food.
Yes, I mean the jerk chicken.
Yeah, that's the closest like for me. Until I got to a point where I literally craved Ghanaian food so much, I learned how to cook. I did not know how to cook when I was coming, and that was so funny. Like
really?
now,
I thought you.
where?
Ah.
When did you say cooking in Ghana?
Okay, that's true. But I thought like you already picked up stuff like.
From where?
Oh.
No.
Yeah, she's a really good cook, so
No,
that's why I'm surprised.
I learned it from here, and that was because like after my first year, I was like, no, I have to learn how to cook because I cannot come and be eating this food like, no. So I watched YouTube. I remember I used to call mommy and tell her, mommy, I have these ingredients. Like, what do I do? Give me steps. But I watch YouTube a lot, and it's try and error. Like, trust me, I've eaten some things I've made, and I'm like, words can't express what I was thinking.
You
but
have to
to
eat
be
it though
honest,
because you made it.
Yo. And if I was in, like, if I had planned properly, I'd probably learn how to make most of the Ghanaian dishes before coming. Like, that's one thing. Another thing too is I would have learned how to braid hair, especially for the females. Like braiding, like you spend so much money on our hair. It's like 100 and even you cry when you're in Ghana, you cut your hair for that cost.
No.
People have to shave their head themselves, and if you knew how to, you could have started a business of that.
I mean, not really, because most people really want it done by a professional. Because you know people here, they want to look crisp and clean. It's not now they're coming to.
But if you're that good
pay you
though,
on the
if you're
level.
that good though, hey, this is an accent. You have to cut it up. It kills. No, but to be honest, like if you're that good, because I have no like, what's that? No. Okay, let me talk for the females.
Alright.
If you're that good, even you don't even have to be that good. As long as you can use extensions and be able to braid hair, like you can create a meaningful living out of that. And money is a hard commodity to come by. Like another thing I want to say is don't, even if you don't need the money right away, I feel like you would always need money, but even if money is not a concern for you, it doesn't hurt to volunteer or to do something on campus, or if not on campus, like just have like a part-time job here and there, because planning for this future is very essential. Like especially if you see yourself living in the country you're studying in long term, you need to be able to handle certain finances after school. For us, well, for me, like I had to work at some point to sustain myself because it was a big strain to like just depend on everything with the exchange rate and everything. I'm like, okay, there's something I can do, and I find that working while schooling helped me be disciplined, and it eased my burdens a bit because I was able to make certain decisions financially. But one thing I regret was not saving earlier, like not even just taking $10 or $5 and just putting it aside every single paycheck or every month, having a set amount to put aside, because you can never save too early. You always need it. That's one thing for me. How about you, working and schooling?
In terms of saving money?
In terms of how it helped you, like do you think when you were just schooling, because first year none of us worked, and then you worked after that, what was the difference? Or like did it improve your,
I mean, when you have a job, you can't really say, oh, I'm too tired, I can't really go. That was the difference. Like you can't really play with that. So I really got, my discipline level really went up because now I was waking up earlier. I was being more cost effective because you know that in a week you will spend this amount of money based on the lifestyle you're living at that time, right? So you have to make sure that you have that amount of money ready. So you can't be spending like you can't really just be wasting money like that. So when I had the job, it increase my discipline level.
And I feel like when you're putting in work to get money, you value it more than when someone is just giving it to you. If it's your hard-earned money you are spending, you think twice than if someone just gives you money and then you are just spending it. It helps you appreciate even how your parents are supporting you. The fact that the money just doesn't fall off on trees. They're putting in the work, and with you thinking that way, you spend the money. Why are you smiling? Like, no, I'm just seeing you smiling on the side of my eye. Like, why are you smiling?
You really give us that's good. That's good.
Anyway, like, that's what I mean. Like, it makes you more considerate.
Right.
But aside that, another thing I want to highlight is for you to network with your professors, with your mates, and also those networking events that they have. They don't really, I don't know why it's not publicized as much, but I feel like it is. It depends on what you're searching for that you find, but most of the time they have networking events with potential employers, and it helps you in the long run if you know people, especially when you come and you don't have that many connections. You have to start fresh. You need people in your corner. It helps so much. With professors though, I struggled to talk in class. I don't think I spoke in class more than 20 times my whole university life.
I don't think I've spoken in class. So it's like how many people in the class? Like 60 and above.
Really?
And like by the time you get there, it's engineering. By the time you get there, they're already like, I don't want to say the Asians and the Indians. They've already taken the first 3 rows, so you're at the back. And it's like, it's not like I come to raise up your hand and ask a question that everybody already knows the answer to. Like, it was very, what's that word? Intimidating. Yeah, right now I'm not. Everyone's not asking for it.
No, but like, I find that over here, they encourage people to talk more in class. Like, some people have the dumbest things to say, and they are not shy about saying it. Like, pointless. No, because imagine sitting in a math class, and then people be asking questions that, like, you should know in high school.
Yeah, they'll be asking like, why did you do this? Like, if you're supposed to multiply at this point, why
did you do this? Like, and we just know you cancelled out, and like, it's but like, when I had questions, I couldn't speak up. Like, I felt like anytime I just choke, because I don't know if it's a thing from back home where you are always afraid to talk. The teacher will be like, don't you know that question? Like, don't you know? Did I not teach you this? And then like they'll attack you for asking. But here, no question is too
even if it's dumb, the teacher will actually answer. Like, he'll tell you if it was something like grade 9, you should know. He'll tell you why he did it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's I think the comfortability level like from high school. And with us, you have to be like, you have to be extra comfortable and know that your question. You have to think about it before you ask. But here they just ask.
Deep. I was in a philosophy class one time, and we were actually talking about Ghana, where they were saying that how we used to do things ancient, where like in Ashanti region, your father takes care of the nephew, something like that. We have those values or those rules that we live by, and they were talking as if we still do that in present time, and they're talking about how we live in mud houses and things, and I'm a Ghanaian like in their midst, and I really wanted to open up my mouth and be like, yo, times have changed. Like, I wanted to like, and I don't think they even think we speak English.
But the ignorance level here, like, the amount that's what you should be ready for. That you should be very patient. If you come here and you say you're from Ghana, just be ready. They'll be like, oh, you're so well spoken for Ghanaian. It's like, wow.
I'm like, we do the British system.
Yo.
It's not wasi.
Shout out to our wasi. But then it's like you have to be ready for that, because like they think we live in like all the only thing they have in connection with like Africa and in general Ghana is like UNICEF and adverts.
Yeah.
When they go and like you look at like the little children and like begging for money, that's what they know. Like, so if you come and say that, oh, I'm going to Ghana for vacation. I was like, I'm going to Ghana for vacation. Like, why do you want to go there for vacation? I'm like,
yeah.
What do you mean? Like,
someone asked me, they were playing and like, do you know Beyonce? And I'm like, you have internet? I was so hurt.
Tell me,
you know Beyonce? And I'm like, yeah. So I'm really surprised that this whole year of return thing, people are like, why would the celebrities want to go to a place where there's no hotel? Or a place where they don't speak English? Like, what language are they going to speak? Answer me.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good thing that came up. That's what you should be aware of. They're very ignorant. So you have to be very patient. Like, because otherwise you're fighting every day. if you tell them where you're from.
Honestly, and they'll tell you you're aggressive, and then you
Yeah.
get into the whole black people stereotype, and then like, it's just too much. But it's definitely an experience. Yeah. But expand your network, like talk to your professors, like make them know you by name. It helps when you need help. It helps when you don't understand something. It makes you more comfortable, and it helps you easily approach them. And you need recommendations for them if you want to further your studies, like in terms of masters. You need recommendations from your professors. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to let them know, and it won't force you to go to class. Imagine a professor who knows you, and like you will not miss class if you know they will know that you're not there, and you like all those things. It helps keeps you accountable. Like those are mistakes I made and I regret, but it is what it is. One important thing I overlooked was not making friends, like being more sociable whilst in school, because most people that I've spoken to, they've built their lives off of the friends that they've made. Because I remember someone once said, like, when you're coming from back home, right, and you need people who are already here, who can help you, connect you, link you. Most of the mistakes that you probably would have made could have been avoided if you talk to people who are already here. So in terms of wherever you find yourself, even if it's class, even if it's at work, even if it's at whatever, it's good to step out of your comfort zone and make friends and embrace the culture that is here as well, and just kind of like socialize. I find it helpful. It's something I should have done more of, but what do you think on that?
Yeah, I think networking was it's a big part. It's a big thing, because if you're coming from somewhere, like if you're coming from Ghana and you're here, it's not like you shouldn't really just be with the people you already know. Like you should just take an opportunity of you being somewhere else, learning about different cultures, understanding different people. It's kind of interesting and fun to, like, you know, get to know people in that sense, you know. So yeah, networking is a big thing, because I made lots of friends that are not necessarily Ghanaian, but like I've learned a lot of things from them. They've learned a lot of things from me, and so it's become more of a beneficial relationship, because then the things that you learn from them, you can apply to your lives, and then you move forward. So yeah,
I agree.
I see how that can be a big thing that you could use to your benefit.
What are the pressures of when you are here, and then you know how you're friends with people who have their parents around and then you don't? So in terms of like paying your bills, in terms of like they have all that taken care of. They don't need to think about rent, groceries, like phone bill, because they have that luxury of home. How did that hit for you?
It hits different, like, because if you guys didn't know, before I was living with Perissa, for my second year I was living with two of my friends. One of them is Ghanaian, but I've never been to Ghana. Can you believe that? And the other one is like Ukrainian, Italian. And these guys, their parents are not as far off. Like our parents were, like, they were close, they're in Canada, right? So if they need like food, someone will drive over and come and give them food. If, like, you know, like they don't really have to spend money on groceries. You don't have to spend money on like little bit of things like that I would spend money on and be losing money with, because then if you need money, now you have to contact your dad. He'd be like, oh, I'll send it maybe Tuesday, because I have to go to the bank, and then the exchange rate and everything. By that time, these guys already had all the things they already needed, you know. So yeah, it's different, you know. It was very, how do you say it? Yeah, most of my words say whatever. Yeah.
It was that.
It was that.
We'll just put that there for you.
Oh.
But that's another thing I hammered on. Like, for us, most of the time we got money for the things we needed. It didn't satisfy our wants.
Facts.
So to get the things you wanted, you have to work. But for people who don't have that situation, it's like, if you have enough money to satisfy your needs, and you can be smarter or wiser with your financial decisions and actually try and save and like do better, instead of spending on like the latest shoes just to be bougie, you could actually buy an equally good one and put that other money aside, especially if you're thinking of living here long term. Like, if you want to get your permanent residence, if you want to passport, if you want to even do all those things require money, like in terms of the applications and stuff, and you need to manage your finances wisely. Credit cards.
Before you go into them,
Like,
for research.
this country is all about building credit, and you should.
This one.
It's a whole. I don't know.
I'll leave this one to you.
It's all about building credit. Your credit is very, very, very important. So you should get a credit card, but don't get it prematurely. And if you already have one, make sure you only use it when you have money to pay it off. That's a tip I did not know in the beginning. Whereas sometimes it's good for emergencies, but on a regular basis, you use it when you have the money in your debit, so you can pay it off right away. Avoid all those interest rates and build your credit. Like, don't let your credit card max out and pay your bills, and it will help you in future. Like, it goes a long way to help. So keep that in mind as well. Yeah. And the fashion trends and things that go on here, like, I'm my own world, my own bubble, but like, don't get overwhelmed by it. Don't get consumed in it as well, because it never ends. There's always something being released. There's always a latest edition of something. There's just always something. Like, find who you are and stick to it. Once in a while, it's good to treat yourself, but bro,
no, it's
not
honestly,
every day.
you don't need most of those things, man. Because shoes are dropping literally every Friday, and people are now going to buy them and resell them for more money like this. Look, I'm telling you, most of the international students here, like the Asians and all those, if you see them, the way they dress, bro, it's like every single day it's something new. It's like something expensive. It's something, so like, as for the pressure, it will hit you a little bit, because people are trying to impress a little bit, but like, don't get caught up in that. It's not necessary.
It's not.
Just save your money, man. It's big facts. Save your money. If I need it, save your money.
Save it for your future. Like, you would need it one day.
It's not necessary. But
yeah, it was a refreshing talk, man. It feels like
good talking to you guys.
It was
First
nice.
time.
It was nice. If you guys want to see more content like this, or if you have any suggestions to help anyone who is coming in, or even to us, like if there's questions that you want us to touch on, please feel free to comment down below. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you're a returning person, come back for more, because we shall be here.
Hey, I like that.
But yeah, I hope you guys had fun. Have a blessed day. Peace out. Next time.